You ever just get this hankering for a really good pizza? You want to go somewhere you know it's going to be a great choice? It's kind of how I'm feeling right now. And I've got just the idea. Perfect. Let's go get that pizza. I'm Gary, and this is Coasting with Culture, which is all about combining theme park visits and riding roller coasters with various cultural experiences around the world. The travels of 2022 began with a short overnight trip to test out a friend's flight benefit, heading to one of the most popular cities in the world. We'll visit several sites of historic significance to the city, plus enjoy a few bites they have to offer. Philip has been a friend of mine since we first started chatting on the Theme Park Review forums in 2009. The first theme park trip we had together was that following summer when we went to the likes of King's Dominion, Six Flags Great Adventure, and Hershey Park. There were several other trips that came after that, from my first visit to Disney World to our adventure in Australia and New Zealand. And one of the first trips shared here on the Coasting with Culture YouTube channel when we went to Europe for Oktoberfest. Philip deserves a lot of credit for that trip, and several others that I've enjoyed in the past few years, because his role with Republic as a flight attendant granted him the ability to share his flight benefits with American Airlines, leading to that trip, along with others like my quick visit to Costa Rica. His flight benefits also saved my tail when I had phone troubles in South America, as I was able to hop that quick flight to Miami from Quito to replace my broken phone with a new one and get back the same day to continue on that journey. In many respects, Philip is, for all intents and purposes, the first sponsor of the Coasting with Culture channel, and I thank him for making these trips possible because of that flight benefit. Unfortunately, just as the pandemic led to my multiple job changes, it did for him as well, and my coaster credit hunting trip through Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Oklahoma would be the last chance I'd have to use that benefit before he had to leave his position with Republic. But after being grounded for a bit more than a year, he felt a hankering to return to the sky, and as the airline business began picking back up from the worst of the pandemic, he decided to make his comeback to the flight attendant field, this time accepting a position with JetBlue. Just as he had before, he offered to put me on his flight benefit again, and while JetBlue has more limited options out of Seattle, I was grateful for his willingness to offer the spot again, as it opens up some quick trip opportunities, especially for the northeast corner of the United States, where a large portion of the coasters I have left to ride on my list can be found that way. Several of those parks could easily be reached after catching the red-eye to either Boston or New York. Speaking of New York, as I found myself sitting at home with no plans on a Tuesday, I had the idea of catching that night's red-eye flight from Seattle to JFK and spending the following day exploring the Big Apple before catching the evening flight back home. This wouldn't be my first time in the popular city, as I had been with friends and family multiple times over the years, including a time in 2011 with Theme Park Review's Northeast Tour that had a bonus day for experiencing some city culture, including the awesome Scott's Pizza Tour, led by a man who knows pizza the way many coaster enthusiasts know their screen machines. January may not be the best time for amusement parks in New York, but there were still plenty of options for spending a day in the Big Apple. At the time of this trip, the entirety of the flights for JetBlue out of Seattle were the red-eye to Boston and the red-eye to New York. If there was a reason to be excited about taking a red-eye with JetBlue though, it was getting to try out the Mint seats, which are one of the only domestic first-class business class cabins in the US to offer fully lie-flat seats. This makes it much easier for trying to catch some sleep on those overnight trips, which could be incredibly helpful for those quick visits when trying to catch a flight across the country right after work and utilizing as much time in a weekend as possible. Since JetBlue only had one departure each way daily between Seattle and New York at this time, the return back wouldn't be until later in the evening, giving a whole day to go and explore New York. Even though I planned to fly back home the same day, I still had a bag with a change of clothes just in case of a delay or cancellation, and Terminal 4 of JFK Airport offers a place where you can store your bags while heading into the city. It's a bit pricey, but it certainly beats carrying the extra bag around. All that was left to do now was hop on the AirTrain Green Line to Howard Beach, then switch to the A-Line subway to go to Manhattan. As I arrived into the heart of the city, I went to a site that I hadn't been to since the winter of 1999, where one of the most tragic events in American history took place. I remember walking alongside the Twin Towers when we made that first visit, and when we came back in December of 2001, you couldn't get very close to the site at the time because of cleanup efforts that were still going. It truly struck me to be a few blocks away and to see all the posters and flyers people had created in an effort to locate loved ones. Much in the same spirit that the monument serves as a sign of a healing nation, the statue that once stood between the Twin Towers has been erected, damage and all, in a spot that overlooks the plaza as a sort of act of defiance against those who attacked. As COVID restrictions at the time had the memorial space closed off until daytime business hours, I'd have to come back to see more of it later. Not gonna lie, it is cold as hell today, and I made the mistake of wearing shoes that aren't very waterproof. Well, it's supposed to be raining a good chunk of the day, but you know what? Here to explore. I'm gonna play kind of your typical tourist and see if I can find some of the most New York things to do, because some of the most New York things to do I haven't had a chance to do before. So I've gotten to the south end of Manhattan here, and I'm going to see if I can be inspired to find liberty. In previous visits, we had gone to Battery Park and seen the Statue of Liberty from a distance, but never took the time to head over to Liberty Island. So I thought this would be a good time to hop on the ferry offered by Statue City Cruises in partnership with the National Park Service. While the cloudy weather did obstruct some of the tallest buildings, it still made for a great view of Manhattan's skyline, and I can only imagine how much better it would be if this were a clear day. As we approached Liberty Island, it had never really dawned on me just how much the overall height of the statue came from the pedestal that Lady Liberty stands upon. While on the island, you can take advantage of free audio tour equipment that gives detailed information at various points of the island, including fascinating facts and stories related to the statue and the city which she stands near. The audio tour also offers great detail about the items and images on display inside the museum, which shares the design and construction process of the statue through models and artifacts. Perhaps one of the best items to see on display is Liberty's original torch. This torch, which was made with stained glass as opposed to the torch she holds up today, which is made with copper covered in gold. The torch had to be replaced as many leaks formed that led to severe rusting, and thus to help preserve the majestic American icon, the switch was made. There are opportunities to climb the statue's staircases, but for my short visit, I was happy to take a stroll around the island and join the many other visitors taking photos of her. And And just like many other famous attractions, there's a gift shop, featuring all kinds of trinkets and souvenirs, including those that allow you to create your own portrayal of Lady Liberty. When you're ready to depart from Liberty Island, you just hop right back on the ferry that brought you over. However, it doesn't head directly to Manhattan. Rather, it makes a stop to the same place where past generations of those who call the United States home today made their first steps on American soil. Ellis Island served as the customs and immigration center for passengers aboard ships, many of whom came with the hope of starting a new life. Today, that building, which many people would enter after a long journey across the sea, serves as the National Museum of Immigration, with various exhibits that showcase the challenges and difficulties faced by those who left their homelands for this strange new place, whether they were those who arrived to Ellis Island or those who come in more modern times. Similar to Liberty Island, you can utilize the free audio tour to follow the same path as those who came to Ellis Island and learn about their immigration process. From the initial arrival hall where they were given their first screenings, to various rooms where they may have gone through extensive questioning and testing to determine if they'd be welcomed into the country or sent back to their homeland. The displays share a number of personal anecdotes from those who went through the process and a wide selection of artifacts. Head down to that far side staircase, you're staying in New York. Head to that middle staircase, you're staying on Ellis Island. Down this staircase that I'm walking, catching a train to go somewhere else. Like those who would be boarding the train to continue further into the country though, it was necessary to hop back on a boat for a quick ride off the island and into the city. Having already spent a few hours exploring, it was definitely a good time for lunch, and as mentioned earlier, I was in the mood for a good pizza. Heading up to the Little Italy portion of Manhattan, there's an excellent choice in Lombardi's, one that is recognized for being America's first pizzeria. I had been here before as it was one of the stops of Scott's Pizza Tour, so this was a lovely trip back down memory lane, enjoying that same margarita pie that we had during our stop. Add a Brooklyn Lager from Brooklyn Brewery, and I was a happy camper. Oh, that hit the spot. Good like I remember it being. But now I'm taking up a suggestion from my friend Sean, who lives here in New York, to enjoy a sweet treat. Per his suggestion, I made my way several blocks over to Soho for Dominique Ansel Bakery, specializing in a variety of French desserts and pastries. The claim to fame here is the Cronut, a hybrid of a croissant with a donut that comes in a different flavor each month, and I was really excited to try it. But they were sold out when I arrived. Luckily, Sean had a backup recommendation. Taking a quick subway ride further north for Levain Bakery. His suggestion for this place was one of their cookies, which were much thicker than I think I've ever seen for a cookie, but it was delicious. Before returning to the airport for the journey home, I wanted to make a quick stop back at the World Trade Center Memorial as it had been opened up for the day. Seeing it in full effect, along with being able to read the names etched into the edges, gave it a lot more gravity, especially when you think about that name representing someone's family member or friend who was lost here on that fateful day. Something I learned about the memorial that I thought was a nice touch was that when any of the victims would be celebrating a birthday that day, a flower was placed on their name, and some may have had additional tributes added by loved ones. After getting to see the memorial fully opened, the time had come to head back to the airport for the flight home. And just like that red-eye the night before, I'd get to enjoy a ride in Mint once again. This was especially nice after having spent the day walking around the city because I could grab that pillow and blanket, lay the seat down, and close the partition door to get some shut-eye. And with that flight, my first standby adventure with JetBlue was a success.
I really don't want to leave the seat, but I guess I gotta go home at some point.
Now that leaves just one question. Where to next? Thank you for watching this Coasting with Culture video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button below to see future videos here on YouTube, like these ones which you may enjoy as well. Additional content can be found at coastingwithculture.com, and you can also follow Coasting with Culture on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for announcements, previews, and updates. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, take care and safe travels.